Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. And it's Monday, so you know what that means. We're back with another edition of Naruto King of the Clouds. What if Naruto was a cloud ninja? Part 2. As always, if you're new to the channel or if you're a regular and you like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that's to come out now and in the future. So, with a series like this, it's going to be a tale of two stories. We're going to be seeing Naruto in a completely new element, in a way that you would have never quite have imagined him before. So, while we will be telling the story of Naruto in the Hidden Cloud Village, we'll also be telling the story of what's going on in the Hidden Leaf, kind of bouncing back and forth between the two, until we eventually get to the crossover, and I'm sure you all know when that's coming. I want to say thank you to everyone who has supported this series since its start. It's definitely become popular, and I think it's going to be one of the more unique stories that we have here on the channel. But we'll continue to see how Naruto will adjust to the new world that he finds himself in, as his adventures carry him to different parts of the shinobi world, and he faces many of its more darker aspects. For all this and more, stay tuned as we now continue Naruto, King of the Clouds. What if Naruto was a cloud ninja? Part 2. As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. As Naruto got settled in with his new team, Team Darui continued in their training, going through the growing pains of establishing some semblance of teamwork. From what Darui was able to see, each of his students had their own strengths and weaknesses. Naruto, the son of Minato, was obviously gifted in his own right, a boy who was a jack of all trades, and was always capable of coming up with some new form of ingenuity when it came to combat. However, his over-reliance on his own skills could often lead him to being a bit more arrogant than Darui would like to admit. It wasn't anything too high, but Naruto had this tendency of believing that he was the end-all be-all, at least among his own peers. Of course, this was often challenged by Karui, who was also skilled and gifted in the sword. However, she implemented genjutsu with her sword style, something that Naruto had a tricky time countering from time to time, and her genjutsu was always enough to keep him on his toes. Then finally there was Omoi. Omoi implied a heavy use of taijutsu along with his sword skill. Although he was capable of using standard ninjutsu, they all were, each one's had their own specialty. Of course, the one thing that linked all of them together was their gift in the sword. You could say that their team was almost put together specifically because of this, being sword users and all. And Darui took time in training them in that regard. Using a sword was a lot more different than many would give it credit for. It wasn't just a matter of swinging a blade. It was about finding a style that was unique, one that worked with you and your skills. For Naruto, his sword skills relied heavily on combination with his ninjutsu. For Karui, hers relied on her sword skill and genjutsu. And for Omoi, it was a combination of sword skill and taijutsu. In that regard, each one was great in one element, but they struggled in a few others. However, this was where Darui came into play. He was the most well-rounded shinobi. After all, his sensei had been none other than Minato Namikaze himself, so he had a lot of experience. And if there was anyone that could whip these genin into shape, it was definitely him. Of course, Naruto was starting to become a bit restless. As Team Darui had been assembled, the genins did what you would expect them to do. They did mostly D-rank missions all throughout the Land of Lightning and throughout the Hidden Cloud Village. These range from finding lost pets to helping with building projects and other things of that nature. Of course, for Team Darui, the missions were simple and easy enough. They weren't anything too complicated or nothing that couldn't be done. They even had their first C-rank mission, although you could barely even call it that, as the only thing they had to do was take care of some bandits. Bandits that couldn't even use ninjutsu. They were pretty weak and pathetic. Naruto was definitely starting to feel like his time was being wasted, as the team was walking back to the Raikage's tower, following their mission. Man, that was no challenge at all. I mean, seriously, I could have just sent a lightning clone to take care of it by itself. Now, Naruto, Darui would say. You know that the standard practice for a shinobi mission is for it to be done as a team. There's no need to try to go do everything by yourself. I know, Sensei, but still, sometimes it just feels like we're just treading water. You should be careful what you ask for, Naruto, Kari would say. You try to bite off more you can chew, and the next thing you know, you'll have to have your daddy come and rescue you. Shut up! It's not even like that. Yeah, we all know it's true. He probably has his marker on you somewhere. All his son has to do is cry out for help, and Lord Forth will come and bail him out at a moment's notice. Shut it, Karui. I'm my own ninja now. I'm not gonna have my dad come and save my ass every time. So he does come and clean up after your messes. Well, I mean, sometimes I forget stuff and, well, Dad's jutsu is just quicker. I hope I can master it someday. The Heavenly Transfer Level 2. He was able to reverse engineer it using my mom's jutsu. Wait, Omoi would ask, but your mom's jutsu can only teleport objects. So how did your father do it to teleport other human beings, including himself? It was a really complicated technique. Apparently, there was some guy in the Hidden Leaf a long time ago who had this jutsu called the Flying Raijin. It kind of works similar to my mom's jutsu, only it basically teleports the user or any other person or object. My dad heard about it, so he ended up working with some other jutsu formulas, and eventually he was able to modify the Heavenly Transfer technique to work pretty much like the Flying Raijin, I guess. Although I imagine there are some differences. Your father modeled it after the Hidden Leaf's second Hokage, Tobirama Senju. He was said to be a legend. He even struck an alliance with our village's own Raikage during the time of the First Great Ninja War. Really? How did he, die for someone so powerful? Well, it's not our proudest moment, but we had some rogue shinobi from the Hidden Cloud, Ringaku and Ginkaku, the Gold and Silver brothers. I've heard about them, Naruto would say. I heard they were pretty gnarly back in the day. They were. It was led by them along with a team of S-rank shinobi. They ended up ambushing the second Raikage along with the second Hokage, and they even managed to kill the second Hokage later on. Wow, that's hardcore. But, Omoi would chime in, I hear there's an even darker rumor. I heard they were once swallowed up by the demon fox, the Ninetales, and rather than being destroyed, they ended up eating its insides and coming out as pure monsters. Okay, that just sounds like fiction. There's no way someone could survive something like that, being eaten by a tailed beast. That just sounds ridiculous, Kari would chime in. You think everything's ridiculous. Well, between you talking about people being eaten by the Ninetales and Mr. Hothead here talking about ninja that can drop meteorites, I think you're all crazy. Shinobi can do some amazing things, but that's just something that makes no sense. And if it ever did happen, well, and that's the case, I'll eat my headband. Naruto would simply chuckle. You know, you keep making those bets, one of these days you're gonna have to pay up. Oh, please. The day I have to pay up for a bet like that is the day I acknowledge you as the next Raikage. And that'll never happen. Naruto would simply grunt at that. He didn't really have any desire to be Raikage or anything of that nature. It wasn't that he had anything against the title, but it was just a little weird that everyone expected it from him just because his father was the Raikage. Didn't mean that was the type of road he wanted to go down. But in either case, as the team made their way back to the office, Minato, along with his wife and assistant Mabui, would be finishing up some reports. Minato happy to see his son had come back from another successful mission. Ah, Naruto, it's good to see that you're back. So, how did your mission go? It went well, nothing really to complain about. It was way too easy. I wish you would give us something a bit more challenging. I understand, it can be a bit rough at times when you're first starting out, but I promise you, the missions I give you now are to help build you up for the future. You gotta start small and work your way up. Yeah, I know, but still, I just wish that I could do more. I mean, there has to be some mission you have that could be a bit more up our alley. Like, I'll take anything if it can just get me farther out of the land of lightning. Now, Naruto, Naruto's mother would say. Are you that desperate to get away from your family? She smiled happily as Naruto would blush and turn away. No, Mom, it's nothing like that. It's just, I want to try to establish myself a little bit. I know I have the skills to do it. I can do a whole lot more for the village than just D ranks. I understand, Naruto, but I promise you, every mission from a D rank to an S rank is important to our village. It's how we're able to stay in competition with the other nations. In fact, the only nation that rivals us in terms of mission output is the Hidden Leaf. So, every mission you do counts towards the greater goal. But I can see that you might be getting a bit too restless. You all have grown in your skills in the last month since you became a team. And I've been wanting to see if any teams could step up to receive some more responsibility. Really? What did you have in mind? Sir, Darui would say. Are you sure you want to try to give us more meat to a mission? I'm just saying, I know that they're all pretty prepared for it, but don't you think it's a little too soon? All three of Darui's students would look at him. They knew that their sensei meant well, but also he had a tendency to be a bit lazy, and in all likelihood, Darui probably just didn't want to leave the village any unnecessarily, no more than he had to. Well, Darui, I understand your concern, and I take your input into consideration. I believe I have a mission that could be just what you're looking for. Everyone would listen in as Minato would begin to speak. In the meantime, we shift our focus to the Hidden Leaf Village. The Genin teams had been assembled, and Team 7 was waiting for their sensei to arrive. Sakura Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, and Neji Hyuga. How the three of them had become a team, no one truly knows. They were all just like oil and water and vinegar. They just didn't mix well at all. Sasuke had his loner tendency and acted like anyone and anything that didn't provide him some challenge was just a waste of his time. Neji was soft-spoken and polite, almost to a fault. In some ways, some people just considered it annoying. And then there was Sakura, the loudmouth of the class, the girl that was just as quick to bash you in the head with a kendo stick more than anything else. They sat for what seemed like an eternity before finally their sensei would arrive, Kakashi Hatake. Seeing his students all together, or well, not really, the only thing he could come up for them was, well, troublesome. As they all went to the rooftop of the school, they would go through their standard introductions. Kakashi would ask about their goals, their dreams, their hobbies, their likes and dislikes, and each student would state just so. For Sakura, she enjoyed going for long walks in the forest, and she enjoyed hitting her punching bag a lot. She enjoyed trying ramen, since that was pretty cool, and she also enjoyed skipping out of school whenever possible, because she felt like it was boring. And also, she liked plants. Particularly, she liked watching the cherry blossoms bloom whenever possible. This would get a laugh out of Kakashi, only for Sakura to give him a death stare. Finally, as for her dream, it was to knock Ino off a peg or two. The only reason she won Kunoichi of the Year was through incompetence. She knew she was really the best, and it was only a matter of time until she proved it. If she had to pick a dislike, it was everyone's obsession with the Hokage. She just couldn't really see what the big deal was in the grand scheme of things. They were just a bunch of old geezers to her. Next, there was Neji. Neji, he enjoyed things like fishing, and he enjoyed training with his father. His dislikes were those that felt they were superior to others for no reason, and his goal was to change the way of the Hyuga clan. Then finally, there was Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke didn't like or dislike many things. There were a lot of things he kept to himself. His goal, his dream that would become a reality, he was going to restore his clan. And he was going to kill a certain someone. Exactly what Kakashi was expecting him to say. Of course, Team 7 would be given their first task to prepare for their first meeting the next day. They were going to be meeting early in the morning at the training grounds. Here is where Team 7 would have their first test. The bell test, to be more specific. Unlike in the original timeline, Kakashi would actually have his hands full with his students. All in all, because of the fact that due to Neji being in the class with a certain generation, it meant that he and Sasuke's rivalry would take an even stronger foot than in the beginning. Neji and Sasuke, the two prodigies that had been pushing each other from the very beginning. Neji was held back before starting in the Ninja Academy. It was something that he had gone through with his father after going through a certain change in his life. However, Neji was much different than how you might know him. Unlike in the original timeline, with Neji's father still being alive, their hate and resentment they had towards the Hyuga clan wouldn't be as strong. Or at the very least, he had someone that could help him focus that anger and allow him to express himself through a much more better means. Neji also wouldn't be burdened by heavy sadness because his father would still be alive and in his life to train him. This didn't change that Neji was a prodigy in his own right, but it did mean that when it came to having his bouts with Sasuke, the two ended up pushing each other to a great degree. While Sasuke would never admit it out loud, Neji made him a better shinobi. At first, he could barely activate his Sharingan, but facing off against the Byakugan user long enough, it forced him to improve. It forced his Sharingan to mature, to the point where Sasuke had mastered the one Tomoe Sharingan in each eye. The Sharingan versus the Byakugan. It wasn't often that they sparred, but when they do, they were the spars of legend. Sasuke had won Rookie of the Year, but just barely, and he knew it. Sasuke was actually grateful that Neji was on his team, because now they would get a chance to see who was really the best. However, the bell test would go just as how you would think. Their teamwork was almost non-existent, and Sakura, despite the skills she had gained, still found herself being inept, to the point where she found herself being tied to a stump and not being allowed to eat lunch. However, Kakashi was trying to get through to them the concept of teamwork. Individually, Each one of them was gifted and unique in their own right. Each one's had the capability of doing great things. But in the end of the day, it was only by working as a team that would allow them to stand a chance in the shinobi world. Individual greatness was all well and good, but it didn't really do you anything if it ended up getting you killed along the way. Kakashi would explain that there were a lot of shinobi before them. A lot of shinobi who were talented, who were skilled, who were considered prodigies in their time, and yet a lot of them met an early and quick grave. The reason? Because a lot of times they couldn't learn to work as a team, because they put the needs of themselves before the needs of others, not only getting themselves killed, but getting others killed along the way. If they were going to make it in this world, they'd have to learn to work together. They'd have to learn to see past each other's weaknesses, to cover the flaws and amplify their strengths. Only when they did that could they truly be a team that was unbeatable. Team 7 would take this to heart, along with another lesson. Those that break the rules are scum. However, those that would abandon their comrades, they are worse than scum. From here, Team 7 would begin their journey as shinobi, which started, as you would expect, with a lot of D-rank missions, working from the lowest of the low. And the one who voiced their displeasure with this the fastest was none other than our hot-headed Kunoichi, Sakura Uzumaki. She wanted to do something that could allow her to upstage Ino in some way, shape, or form. Something that could show what she was truly capable of, to show off her new skills. Of course, Iruka would reprimand her for being so hasty, but the third Hokage liked her spunk, and he believed that there was a mission that was just for them. It had just come in recently. They were going to be doing a bodyguard mission for a bridge builder. He was going to be going to a country known as the Land of Waves. In the meantime, back in the Hidden Cloud, Naruto and his team would be given the assignment for their mission. They stood off the shores of the Hidden Cloud. They were going to be taking a boat, and they would be arriving to a landmass. It's a landmass you'll see on your screen right now. It would be a neutral territory between the Hidden Waterfall Village and the Hidden Sound Village. It was a nation that no longer had a village of its own. However, it was marked by a specific site, a site known as the Mountains Graveyard. The small village that existed there, or at least of what remained, had faced a recent natural disaster, a landslide that had devastated what remained of the small village, and they were calling for assistance. Minato, believing that this mission could be a good way for Naruto to journey outside of his homeland, but also remain relatively safe. Naruto and the others would be excited by this, by the opportunity to travel somewhere new and unseen. Naruto would be excited by this, his first time going outside of the Land of Lightning, a mission to help a distraught village. This was something he could definitely get into. Minato would give them the details of the mission and would give them a time for them to pack their things and to be ready to go. As the students left to prepare, Minato would look back to Darui seriously as he called back his student. "Is there something wrong, Master?" "No, but I want you to keep a close eye on things while you're there. If there's sign of trouble, send word back to the village immediately." "Is something wrong?" "I just have my suspicions. Is it about the Stone Village?" "I'm not quite sure, but I don't want to rule it out. This mission could end up being nothing more but a simple rescue op. And if that's the case, then you'll get your students some good experience. But if there's a potential for it to be more, then it could lead to the situation being a lot more drastic than I'd want it to be. I understand. Minato would hand a specially marked kunai to Darui, telling Darui to keep it close at hand, just in case. Within time, as our story progressed, our two teams would be prepared, ready to set off into the ninja world. Team Darui and Team 7. One heading to the land of graveyards, and the other one heading to the land of waves. The journey into the shinobi world had now begun. This concludes Naruto King of the Clouds. What if Naruto was a cloud ninja? Part 2. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue One Piece Omniverse. What if Luffy had the Omnitrix? The East Blue Saga, Part 2. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.